Hi, I'm Ellie Crystal from crystallinks.com. Today is Sunday, July 9th, 2017. I'm here to talk to you very briefly about what's going on in the world and my take on all of it. I come from a multitude of backgrounds, from the conspiracy theorists to thinking things are all contrived by a hologram, to reading the news, to talking to people in all walks of life. And basically, last week was a very busy week in the world. It was the G20 Summit in Hamburg, Germany, and there was violence, chaos, confusion, and I'm just talking about the President of the United States. I'm not even talking about the people outside. But seriously, it's a very chaotic time. We have a president who no one understands how he became president, which we know, that's rehashing the old. He does things that don't make sense. The world doesn't make sense. We grow more confused and more belabored in all of this. And basically, I'll just give you my take on all of it, okay? Whether you look upon me as a conspiracy theorist or someone who comes to her own conclusion based on some psychic knowledge, which is not where this is coming from. Bottom line is this: the day that Trump came down that escalator, which many of us remember, I knew he was going to become president. Maybe it was psychic. I don't know what it was. It wasn't that I liked him, I voted for him. It wasn't about any of that. It was about getting rid of the old, and none of the people who were running against him really represented a good platform. In total, Trump represented, let's give this guy a chance, but everybody knew, even giving him a chance, he's unstable. Okay, we know his flaws. But what's going on now between Putin and Trump is still in the news. There is no doubt, there is tangible proof that Putin and his community have definitely hacked into not only the United States, but he's interfered in the elections of other nations across the world. I mean, this is who he is. But Trump seems to embrace him for some reason. I don't think Trump is afraid of him. I don't think Trump is involved with him financially. So if you're going to look past, okay, I really don't think he's, Trump knows who he is. Trump, for all his flaws, has done his homework on this, and he knows the answers, and his children certainly would have said, this is what's going on with Putin. But Trump just belabors this. I think the whole thing comes down to this. There is, and call me a conspiracy theorist, but there is one or more government organizations who call all the shots. Whether they were set up in the 1940s, the 50s, or they even go back to the beginning of time, there are organizations, human, alien, hybrid, or probably mostly human, that control everything, call the shots on everything. They're the ones who do the bullying. They're the ones who are really behind Trump coming into play. There are other agendas other than the ones we see. Now, these agendas are accelerating. I mean, what's going on with North Korea now, they launched an ICBM on July 4th towards the United States. They didn't get here, but Kim Jong-un is saying, yes, we're going to take out those Americans, however he put it. There's a lot of threats, a lot of danger, and unlike the games we used to play before that were like not as powerful for world destruction, today our games are really borderlining on this. How to address Putin, how to address the Chinese, how to address Kim Jong-un, and having someone like Trump as our president. I believe Trump, there is a bigger game at play. Trump was put into office for reasons maybe he doesn't know. I believe that he is a puppet. I believe that he is easily controlled, not knowing it, of course, very unwittingly, and that I think whoever it is who really runs the show, those factions are what's behind Trump's decision not to continue pursuing with Putin his involvement in the U.S. presidential election. I mean, it's obvious he should have manned up. I knew he wouldn't. You knew he wouldn't. And you knew Putin was going to deny everything. No, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. We know what Putin's about. And if you were Putin, you'd say the same thing. You know, Putin's a very good player in the game. I mean, he stands his ground and he bullshits his way through everything. There's no other way to put it. But Trump, on the other hand, is set in place to allow things to happen that shouldn't be happening, that there is some greater agenda behind it, to me is obvious. I mean, we can spend his whole 4 years, if we're here 4 more years, but we could spend the whole time he's president trying to figure out his tweets, which are ridiculous, the way he works within his government communities, which is bad, the way he works with our press, forget about that, you know. I'm not saying the press is perfect. I understand. The press also has its limitations. It has people who censor it, people who say no. The press is not 100% clean, but we need the press to bring some degree of truth out there. You just look at everything that's going on, Korea and Russia and United States and the economy and of course the earth changes and all of that, and you say to yourself, something greater is calling the shots in all of it. It is that simple. Now, what that is really for you to think about and decide. There's all kinds of conspiracy theorists out there who are blaming it on an alien intervention. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I think it's just the algorithm of the hologram. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You have to decide. But to sit and decipher day to day the clumsiness of Trump, the nonsensical ways things are unfolding, to me is a time waster. I mean, you can do it. You're going to follow it, I guess, to some degree. I'm going to follow it, but it's never going to make sense, and I don't like to waste my time on things that I know are totally out of my control. The world is in a state of revolution, whether it was last week in Germany, where most of you, I'm sure, saw what happened, you know, outside of the G20 Summit, whether it's in your own country, your own state, your own city, or your own life. You know, there is revolution going on. Now, something else happened that I blogged about last week, and that is there are big earth changes going on. We know about the wildfires again. We know about flooding. We know about weather and climate change, and I still believe it doesn't matter what goes on with the Paris Climate Accords or whatever other people are doing. We're destined into these end-time events. But then there's something else. 2 things to think about. The Pacific Plate, which borders on the plate where Kim Jong-un is sending his nukes, okay? He's sending it, I believe, into the Sea of Japan. That plate, when it gets splashed down and hit, that plate is affected. Tectonic plate, I'm sorry, I should put it that way. That tectonic plate is going to crack a little bit more. The Pacific Plate is broken badly as it is, as we know, with earthquakes on the increase, okay? Last year, and I'm talking about not in the ocean itself, but on land in populated areas. Last week in the United States, okay, Montana had a 5.8, and it was felt in all of the local states. It was huge. That's sort of the kind of thing that you have to look at also, what's going on with plate tectonics, because when I look at it, nothing is making sense anymore. I mean, nothing. The plates are breaking and there's no going back. The climate is changing and there's no going back. The president is being set in place. I've always believed that Trump is being set in place because at the end of the day, he's going to come forward and discuss the truth. And you say the truth about what? When he has irrefutable proof about, I know it's conspiratorial, alien interaction in what has evolved in our sciences with reverse engineering, our government's control of everything within the reality we call our lives. He's going to find out some information, he's going to bring it out. And those that we may call the powers that be or whatever, they call the shots, okay? I believe he was set in place to bring this truth to pass. I really believe that Obama, who I happen to have liked, let's not go there, but I did, I believe he found out the truth and he wanted to speak the truth about government conspiracies, but he didn't. He was, not allowed to, as he said on Jimmy Kimmel. I believe other presidents also, were not able to speak the truth, going back to Truman, who found out about the Roswell crash. And there's actually, I understand there were 3 crashes now, bodies recovered, all of that, got Truman scared. He formed committees, MJ-12 and others, to cover it up. These people ran the government. They changed the names and the numbers and everything else. And then this went into Eisenhower. And recently, or not so recently, his great-granddaughter came forward and she talked about meetings that Eisenhower had with aliens. And this is not towards some wonderful spiritual end. Last Friday was July 7th, which was 7/7, and the 70th anniversary of Roswell. So a lot of shows, especially Ancient Aliens and others, did a little review of what went on in Roswell, what was covered up. Here's the papers, here's the proof, here's this. There's bodies, there's people now who are getting elderly like me, who are coming forward and they were actually there and they're talking about what happened, what they saw, the bodies, everything that went on there. Okay, so you say, so what? So there were UFOs crashed, so there's UFOs out there, so there's aliens, who cares? Most people probably wouldn't. It's only that this faction of aliens, which really don't seem to be the good guys, okay? There's the ones we sometimes say are the spiritual Palladians and all of that. But this particular faction of aliens are not the best, and they have integrated within our systems, political, economic, social. Are they causing all the earth changes? Are they stopping all the earth changes? When there's nuclear disasters and people say, hey, there was a nuclear disaster or close to a nuclear disaster and UFOs were seen over it. There's a lot of unanswered questions in that world. And that is what is really affecting what's going on here today. Everything that's non-stoppable is non-stoppable. Whether aliens are trying to hold things together for us, or they're making things worse, or they've helped us develop technology so we can really understand what's going on. But there's just, it's like one little conspiracy has all these other little conspiracies around it, and so on and so on and so on. It's like a downward motion. But the bottom line is, there's this feeling within many people, and signs and symbols and dreams and their lives and what goes on around them, that something is going to happen, that this is indeed an end time for our human experience or human biogenetic experiment or whatever you choose to call it. And in saying that, somebody has to bring the truth. It will never be the church, so it has to be the state. And since all the other presidents of the United States have copped out, and for some reason, I don't know why Putin doesn't stand up and say something, and the Chinese, who are very big into UFOs and technologies and all, I don't know what it is. It has to be something greater than government that is holding everybody back from speaking the truth. But the truth is going to come out. And I have believed since Donald Trump declared he's the guy who's going to bring it. And he's going to have proof, because if he doesn't, once again, no one will believe him. If he does a little tweet like, guess what? I saw a UFO, a crashed UFO, and an alien. No, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to make his case. He's going to have to show what's happened. He's going to have to bring the documentation that's been redacted. He's going to have to bring this all out. That's the only thing I see in Trump that is noteworthy to me. The rest of what he does is so ridiculous, I can't even go there. I'm sure you also would agree. It makes no sense to anybody in any realm of life, and yet something is keeping him in office, and I believe that something is some sort of power that be, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, New World Order, call it whatever you want. It's that is coming to the fore, and the information will be there. Hopefully, along with some UFOs and maybe somebody who's actually an alien from another world who's going to come here and explain things to us. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm not waiting on, I'm not waiting for lights in the skies. I'm not waiting for channeled information. I'm not waiting for anyone to say, I have this papers where an alien stated this and that, or some blurry video, or some blurry, I'm not waiting for any of it. And I have been abducted, so I know it's out there. I'm waiting for aliens, shall we call them, to come forward and make their case. So on that note, as we say, have a wonderful whatever you're doing, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.